Guys, I am back to do another hair video. I am only a few weeks postpartum at this point, so my hair has not been my utmost priority in the last several weeks. So I thought I would do my hair. And I thought I would do it with you guys. I've been debating on what I wanted to do with my hair. If I wanted to actually touch bleach or not, given my previous record. I think ideally I would like to, because I have so much regrowth. Like my natural hair color is so dark that everything that has grown out from my previous color and previous lightnings, it just looks kind of like a straight line. And I thought I could kind of soften that a little bit, maybe by doing somewhat of like maybe like a money piece moment to bring it up just a little bit, just so the front part of my hair, like the most front part that everyone sees first, would just look a little bit more put together and intentional. The last time you guys saw me do my hair, I did it red and I loved it, and it faded really nicely actually for being red, but I went blue for the announcement of my sweetheart. And it kind of toned and left my hair looking a little bit like this, like kind of murky, mucky, indigo, and there's like still kind of a little bit of warm red tones and greenish yellow tones mostly. So I thought I would do something kind of close to what I did recently, which was super blue. I thought maybe I could try to go for turquoise, being that it kind of has greenish undertones. I just don't really know how it's going to take to the rest of my hair. I think these pieces will take really well. They might read a little bit more green than blue, but I think that's all right. I actually like green. A lot of people kind of shy away from green, but I have a lot of green dyes because that's a color that I maintained, I think, for the longest. And green is actually my favorite color, so if I end up with something more green than blue, I think I'll be okay with that. It's really pretty. I have super green as well, but I just don't have a lot of it. I don't think I have enough to cover, so I definitely would have to mix. But I have a couple different brands that I've tried. Like I have Overtone and I have Lunar Tides, but if I'm being honest, these aren't my favorite. The Lunar Tides, I just feel like this was very dark, like so dark. Like my hair is like basically black, and I just felt like this was so incredibly dark that it almost looked like I didn't do anything to my hair, but it was dark in a way that was like very inky. But with that said, it faded really quickly, so that's why it just wasn't my personal favorite. The Overtone and the Cowabunga, I think it is, in Good Die Young, which I think they've changed their formula possibly since I've purchased this originally. These colors are really similar to each other, which is cool, but I kind of feel the same about both of these, at least with this current formula. Kind of like a standard like Kelly green, but again, not my favorite. In terms of texture, I just feel like they separate a lot. There's a lot of like, it feels like oil. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels really thick, but not in the way that XMONDO is. XMONDO is really thick in a way that's like very conditioning, and the formula is still very intact, whereas this feels like you have to really mix it up before you even begin using them, and they're just really hard to work through the hair. But another one that I have that I really like and I used a few times was Eero. My favorite dyes to use are the XMONDO dyes, just because of how conditioning and how like lustrous I feel like it leaves your hair looking as well as feeling. But if I had to pick a second one, I would pick probably Eero, just because of the vibrancy and the longevity of the dyes, which if you're not looking for longevity or something that's going to really stick in your hair, you may prefer Lunar Tides or something of that nature that's going to wash out more easily. But I really like the Eero. I don't feel like I have to color my hair as often, but it still washes out. I'm going to use this. I don't really have anything against like box bleaches like this. I've not really used powder bleach in the past. I've only ever used like lightning creams like this. They just work really well on my hair. I like that they process a little bit slower, especially with an open air application, because I just feel like that gives me more time to apply it neatly versus trying to rush through and ending up with more of a mess than I already have. Plus, I don't blame the box dye or the box bleach if I don't end up with a really clean result. That's more of a measure of my own hair dyeing and bleaching ability, or lack thereof. I have like a lot of like kind of really like purpley murky tones, and then like I said, like this yellowish green, like greenish blonde even, maybe. It's not blonde, but that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a green toned yellow. But yeah, basically I'm working with a big mess. That's why I didn't want to try to go with a true blue like I did more recently, which when I did, it actually turned out really nice. That super blue covered, like when I say it covered, and I think I ended up with a really nice result. It made my hair look really nice, and I felt really pretty in the pictures that I had taken. I do feel like it will cover if it's dark enough, but that's my question to myself, is it dark enough? I do feel like in the camera from this angle my hair is looking a little bit dark, so I'm going to back up just so you can kind of see. It's actually pretty light. So that's why I think that this could cover and it might work, but I don't know. So from here, I'm just gonna kind of paint here and then kind of blend it up maybe a little bit on these portions. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to film this as much as possible, the bleaching portion, but to be honest, I just want to focus on what I'm doing so I don't make as much of a mistake by trying to like stay in the frame. If you don't see much of this portion, that's why. Basically, like a box dye or a box bleach application, you just want to read the instructions and mix everything appropriately. He would start crying as soon as I put this in. I'm sorry if you hear his cries in the background, but that's just part of being a baby, you know, and being a mommy. If he continues to cry, I may just put a little bit of music over this part, just to spare you guys that. I don't mind it, because I'm his mommy, but I understand. Not everybody likes babies, you guys. Good thing I'm only doing a small portion of my hair because I have lost so much of this product already just trying to mix it together. I don't know how good it's going to turn out, but hopefully it's going to give the appearance of a little bit more blending than what I initially had. So, I do feel like it's going to go from being like darker to lighter, which ideally that's what I want, but I think it's going to look a little crazy until I put that whatever semi-permanent color choice that I put on. I straight up almost dyed my eyebrow because I was so fixated on what I was doing that I wasn't paying attention to the fact that it was laying on the outer corners of my eyebrows. This is looking very reddish. But I'll deal with it. I would normally never apply bleach to pre-lightened hair so carelessly like the way I am, but the color I have is so murky that I think it needs it in order to even have a chance of getting that semi-permanent color to show up. So that's why I'm taking the chance, but I wouldn't recommend it because there's a good chance I could fry the ends of my hair today. But I hope over my own sanity that I don't. I have to keep this off my eyebrows, in the very least, and my skin. Oof. I have very sensitive skin. If I look like I have laminated eyebrows, that's why I just put more Vaseline in to hopefully ensure that I don't get this bleach in my eyebrows. But conversely, every time I wipe, I do feel like I keep wiping the bleach off. Yeah, that still looks extremely yellow. The reason I also like cream, lightening cream, is that it's not that it's more gentle. I don't think any bleach or lightening process is truly gentle. It's usually more like malleable, I guess. It's like I can scrape it off, reapply, scrape it off, reapply, and constantly check at what I'm looking at. Yeah, it's very red right there. It's weird. I mean, I know it has to go through red, orange, like all the stages, because my hair is naturally dark. I feel like my paint job doesn't look that bad, but I know in reality it's going to still be very uneven. Letting it process for as long as I think I can. I'm going to wash this out of my hair in just a minute. I never really time it. I really just look at the integrity of my hair and the current color, and I just kind of use that as my basis for how long I'm willing to leave it on my hair for. Hi guys. So it's actually been a few days since I bleached my hair. I just didn't have a chance to finish doing my hair and finish recording, so that's why I took a pause. But I'm just gonna let my hair down really quick and show you what I'm working with and what I think my plan is from here on out. My hair is a bunch of different colors, but I'm not working with a clean base. My hair has been pre-lightened a few different times, and I've also switched back and forth between warm colors and cool colors. So it's kind of to be expected that I'm left working with a kind of uneven and like splotchy bleach base. But I think overall I'm pretty satisfied with it regardless. And I'm going to show you what colors I think I'm going to do on my hair. I actually think I want to do something two-toned rather than just put one color all over everything. With the bleach, I focused on the most front portions of my hair, and I kind of am left working with this like gradient. Let me brush through my hair. Okay, so let me part it down the middle real quick. So just to kind of show you what I'm working with, when my hair is blow dried, it lays a little bit more naturally like down. I don't have like so much of a hump like I do right now. That's just because, again, my hair doesn't naturally part there. It parts more on the left side of my hair. But I have these sections in the front that I bleached. As you can see, I have kind of a transition going, like a gradient from my dark natural regrowth to kind of like an orangey yellow midsection to a lighter blonde. And I'm actually okay with that. This was virgin hair prior to me bleaching it, and that's why it processed slower than my already previously lightened ends. I knew these were going to lighten kind of quickly, and I didn't really want to overly jeopardize the integrity of it, so that's why I didn't leave it all on my hair for very long. But I didn't want to risk getting a band here of darkness like I have in the past by trying to just avoid touching this, so that's why I did it all in one go. I wouldn't recommend doing that because you might end up with something like what I have, like kind of slightly over-processed ends. I wouldn't consider these too over-processed. They're not like breaking off or anything, but I did push it a little bit. But I'm satisfied with it because I think I like the slow, gradual shift over just straight black to like a lighter blonde. I just think it might hopefully look better. And then this is the remaining like tail ends that I clipped back with the remainder of my hair, so I could end up with kind of like a brighter forefront section and have like these darker sections in the back. I thought I was going to do one color, but because I have so many different tones and colors going on in my hair, I think I'm going to do two tones. So I'm going to pick a lighter color to do in the front and then a slightly darkened version of that same color to go in the back. So to do that, I'm going to be using XMONDO in the shade Turquoise. And I think I'm going to use this in the front pieces of my hair. If you look at the actual color of the dye, it's kind of more of a true blue. So laying that on kind of yellowish pieces may only make it appear more green, which is something that's like truer to the label color. But I'm okay with that. I just wanted to say that because blue is one of those colors that you really need a really clean base. And not only that, you really need a light base. Like for example, this up here, I'm a little bit worried that that's really not light enough to put something like this over. But I'm going to try it just because I really don't want to have to re-bleach that portion of my hair and risk over-processing my ends. And also because I'm choosing to do a turquoise, which is not really like a true blue, it kind of has like greenish undertones, I think it's going to work with the yellow that is in my hair. Because blue and orange don't really mix, the only thing that I'm worried about is them neutralizing and that kind of turning like a mucky shade of brown. So I'm really hoping that, ooh, that was about to slide right out of there. I'm really hoping that this is pigmented enough that it'll just be, like I said, a slightly darker greenish turquoise. And then this, I don't know if that's pure enough to read as blue as this is, or if it's going to read more green, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to put XMONDO Turquoise on these forefront sections of my hair. And for the remaining sections of my hair, I'm actually going to do something that's in the same ballpark. If I had enough of this color alone, the XMONDO Super Green, I think I would just apply that all over the back sections of my hair, but I really don't have very much left. So I think I'm going to mix another brand with this, but that tone is really nice. It has kind of like bluish undertones, so I think like the blue-green in the Super Green will meld very well with the blue and green tones in the XMONDO Turquoise. But the brand that I'm going to mix in with the XMONDO Super Green is actually Lunar Tides in the shade Beetle Green. I'm just going to say this. I don't have a ton of experience using Lunar Tides, so my opinion may not be completely accurate because these are the only two shades that I currently own and the only two shades that I've ever applied to my hair, and that is Beetle Green and Juniper Green. If I'm being honest, the Juniper Green is a very dark shade of green, like even darker than it's reading on the label, and it is extremely pigmented, which is not a bad thing, but when I say it is so dark, my natural hair color is basically black, and I honestly think this green is darker than my hair color. Like, it is so pigmented to the point that it's almost inky, and that's why it's just not my favorite when it comes to a green hair dye. Even though this color seems to be really popular in this brand anyway, it wasn't my favorite shade. And conversely, the Beetle Green on its own, I think, is a really nice color. It's very similar to the XMONDO Super Green when I'm talking about like the actual dye color, and it's very similar to the XMONDO Turquoise when it comes to the label. So I think this will be a really good color to mix in with the Super Green. The only thing I have to say about Lunar Tides that I personally notice is that I feel like it washes out of the hair very quickly, which if you're not looking for longevity and you're looking for colors that you can frequently alternate or change between, or you want to have something that you don't have to fully commit to, even though I will say green can be particularly staining to the hair, this might be a better option for you. I personally like a little bit of longevity with color. I also like something that is very nicely pigmented, and I also like something that, again, doesn't read so inky. I don't really like dyes that are super pigmented but read inky, and what I mean by that is that they don't add a lot of luster and shine to the hair in the same way that XMONDO does, and I know that's probably because there are a lot of beneficial ingredients added in the XMONDO dyes that really only help to make your hair feel and look better. But because of that, that's why this is just not my favorite. Really quickly, what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to apply XMONDO in the shade Turquoise to the frontmost sections of my hair, and then I'm going to mix, I believe, XMONDO Super Green with the Lunar Tides Beetle Green, and I'm going to apply that to the remaining sections of my hair and see what kind of results I get. I wasn't really sure if I was going to go in the blue-green realm once I bleached my hair, just because of these kind of like orangey front pieces, because like I said, orange and blue don't really tend to mix very well. They tend to neutralize, and I really didn't want to end up with like a yucky, mucky brown color. So I almost went in the opposite direction. I almost chose to go in a warmer route and use like a red or an orange to actually fill the hair, but then I thought, I don't really know how it's going to lay on these like mucky pieces in the back. But I have high hopes. I've always had very nice results with XMONDO given like the current status of my hair, like not only the integrity but the color that I'm working with. I've transitioned from light to dark colors, warm tones to cool tones, and sometimes that can leave your hair looking a lot like this, like just having like a really big melding of all different colors going on. And I really just don't want to push the hair by over processing it and using bleaching methods on hair that really doesn't need to come into contact with it. There are other color removal methods. I was actually going to use the new Color Oops. Let me get the box actually. I was actually going to use this. I've never tried this before, but the Color Oops Bold Remover, because this one is actually designed to remove remaining semi-permanent hair color, whereas the other one really isn't made for it. And that's why I chose not to use it in my other videos. But the only problem with this that I didn't realize at the time that I bought it is that it does contain a lightening powder, meaning it will lift your natural regrowth. And I also am a little bit nervous about how damaging, and I was worried it might push my hair in the current state that it is a little bit too far. Otherwise, I was going to use it on these back pieces to try to get some of that stained hair color out, to get like a more pure whitish blonde, because I thought that turquoise would lay much better on it. But I just don't think it's worth frying off my hair to test this out right now. I think if my hair wasn't in the condition that it is. I just feel like that may not be like the lightest blonde ever, but compared to my natural hair, it is. And I would much rather deal with something that's kind of inky and uneven and not perfect, rather than actually fry off any of my hair and then be dissatisfied that I have like hair fried off all the way up to here. So I just feel like this might be for another video or another day. Plus, I don't really think it's worth using right now because I feel like this is still pretty light, given that I had all those colors on my hair previously. I think I would much rather try this out to remove like a really stubborn color, something like that, versus something that's already really light as it is. So I'm going to skip the color remover and just go straight to applying the semi-permanent hair color and see what I end up with. I do just want to throw in a quick disclaimer. Whenever you're aiming to do a blue, you really need to strive to get like the purest blonde that you can achieve, because it more than likely will not lay very well on a tone like this, something that's kind of like more orangey and brassy. There's a really good chance that it's just going to neutralize and turn kind of brownish. But if you have a dye, like I personally believe enough in this that this is pigmented enough, I do think that this will come out just as like a darker bluish green color versus being brown like I mentioned. But again, that's kind of the reason I'm choosing to do turquoise rather than just like straight blue. And I'm also choosing to use other dyes that are more green toned, because I have a lot of yellow in my hair, but I also, these pieces over here, they're kind of like greenish blonde. Like I have a lot of green tones in my hair as it is, so that's why I think something like this will lay like pretty well over it. And I also wouldn't recommend doing most blues in general over a base this uneven, or if not pure, just because a lot of times they're just not pigmented enough. Or if you don't do something dark enough, certainly darker than whatever base you're starting with, you're more than likely that blue is not even going to read. That's why like this would definitely be dark enough. This would probably cover a lot of the mistakes that I have going on back here. But the only reason I don't want to go this dark, and I'm choosing to do the Beetle Green mixed in with the XMONDO Super Green, is because this is a more favorable color and tone. This is, to me, again, is just not my favorite. It's so dark. It's so like inky and almost black that I don't want it. I also don't want to have to try to remove that out of my hair, because I think at that point my hair would just be stained mucky, mossy green. But you know what? Without further ado, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started. But I just wanted to address that in case you were looking at this video as inspiration for going blue. I would just, in general, if you're looking to go blue, make sure you have the purest blonde that you can get. Not something that's super orange, not something that's super yellow, because again, yellow and blue make green. And then also make sure you're using a hair dye that is pigmented enough and dark enough for your blonde situation. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started and try to get my hair looking a little bit better than it currently does. I feel like I look like a bug. I'm gonna start with the darker sections of my hair, I think. Only because these ones are on top. I think it'll be better for me to work from the bottom and then do the top section last. So hopefully I don't bleed the darker color onto the lighter portions. Okay, and I'm gonna change my shirt. I just wanted to show you my tint brush. It's actually really cute. It says whale tail, and it actually has like a little whale tail, and it's blue, and it's really soft. I always really like too when a dye brush has like a really nice solid handle. It just feels like a paintbrush in your hand. And my trusty like comb is like so stained. You can tell where I did blue this last time. Because this already comes in a tub and I don't have a whole lot left, I'm actually just going to use the remaining bit of green that I have, and then I'm just going to add in what I think I need of the Lunar Tides Beetle Green. The only thing about like containers like this, I wish they were a little bit bigger, because you can kind of see how my brush can't really fit in there. Whereas with the XMONDO tubs, they're really wide mouth and I can very easily dip directly into the tub. That's something that I've always really liked about the Mondo colors, because squeezing out from a bottle is just sometimes kind of inconvenient, and it's really difficult to get all of the product out as well. I don't know how much of this I need, but these colors are actually pretty close to each other. The Lunar Tides doesn't contain like the sparkly glitter effect, but they're pretty close, which is actually really nice. I'm hoping by adding in just a little bit of that XMONDO Super Green that I get a little bit of that added benefit for my hair, because anything that can make my hair feel soft or better is much appreciated. It's kind of interesting, like when you mix different brands of hair color, it's kind of like when you add like a lot of food dye to like an icing mixture. It tends to get more whippy and creamy the more you add. For some reason I still feel like that might not be enough. I mean, it will for the lightened sections, but I think I'm just going to use the rest of this. I don't really see myself using this color. I don't want to say not ever, but if I was going to use this color, I would just get the XMONDO Super Green, because I like the way it feels on my hair. And generally speaking, I always go with a darker version of whatever results I anticipate, because oftentimes I need that pigment to cover any mistakes that I've made. And this is just a little bit translucent in my opinion, which is not bad if your hair is really pale or paler to begin with. But if you're working with something like what I have, which is kind of a mess, it may not be dark enough to cover. Isn't that cute? Alrighty, I'm going to use my trusty hair clip. You can really slap on semi-permanent hair color, but I don't, because I always worry that I'm going to miss spots. So that's why I choose the section. That is so pretty. It feels like I'm missing a spot. I can't tell. But I'm gonna really try to, yeah. I'm not even sure if it's that I missed it. I think some sections are just too orange. And I really hope it doesn't like peek through too much. If you can see, this is kind of reading, how it's like reading more green. I'm okay with that. I like green. But I just wanted to point that out in case you were wanting to do a color similar to what I have. I thought I lost my hair clip. It was in my hair. And you may notice, like as always, I comb through each section before I apply anything to my hair. And that's just because my hair is very straight, but it knots really terribly. And the ends of my hair are quite fragile as compared to my natural regrowth. Not so fragile like to where I really feel like they're gonna break off or anything, but they're more compromised, and I don't want to do anything that's gonna just tangle up those sections more, causing me to possibly have to like really rip through my hair. Trying to be as gentle to those end pieces as I can. Okay, I got confused for a second. I was like, oh no, I used the wrong color, but no. This is so similar to the label on the XMONDO Turquoise packaging that I for some reason forgot. I thought I was putting the wrong color on my hair, but the actual turquoise dye is actually a lot more blue. But I just had to remind myself that I didn't mess up. I'm trying to move quickly because my sweetheart is sleeping right now, but he's starting to stir, and I'm nursing right now, so I really don't want to have to go in there with all of this all over me and try to feed him. I'm gonna try to be quick so I can tend to him. I'm now going to apply the turquoise. I kind of feel like a Spice Girl. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse out the color. Bare minimum is about 20 minutes to let the dye sit on your head, but I usually do about 40 to 45 minutes. And I've mentioned this before, but it's really just so it can help to better cover any mistakes that I've made. Plus, it's semi-permanent hair color, so it's really not going to hurt anything to let it sit on your head for longer. Hey. So I'm going to take the time to go ahead and wash it out really quick, and I will be back. I think it's cute. I think it's cute. I like it a lot. I really like it. I don't usually like cooler tones against my skin tone. Sometimes I think they just end up washing me out, but I don't know. I really like it this time. To me, it's kind of giving like mermaid and sea foam, but also swamp princess. I still really like it. I think it's better than what I had. And my hair looks a lot more healthy than it did to begin with. So yeah. I think for critiques though, I do think that I would like it more if it was just one solid color. That's just my preference. I don't really tend to like the gradient as much, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't have the cleanest base and my hair is so straight. So sometimes like it tends to look a little choppy in some areas, but I think overall I still really like it. I'm happy with it. Being that I kind of started with like a really big mess on my head, I really do think lightening these front pieces really helped to make it look a little bit more intentional. I do think lightening these front sections really did kind of help to tie in my like dark regrowth into the rest of my hair so much better. It doesn't look quite so grown out. I feel like it looks a lot more maybe intentional now. Or at least I think so. I also kind of like that when I push my hair back too, that the green up here kind of ties in with the green in the rest of my hair a little bit better. I feel like it looks pretty decent, parted down the middle, and also how my hair naturally parts, which is like more on the side. I like it. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, if you like what you see, please give this video a like and my channel a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.